Hey everyone and welcome to the channel. Today is special for two reasons. First is I've hit 500 chapters in One Piece, which is fantastic. It's a massive milestone. I'm sort of halfway-ish, another 100-ish days, and I think I will be about halfway because I don't know if they're at 1,100 or something like that yet. But yeah, getting there. Actually, it'll be like another 50 days. Anyway, I'm getting closer to finishing One Piece. And the other massive milestone is I've hit 500 subscribers on YouTube. Now, I didn't see the exact moment when I hit 500, but I do know what video pumped it up, which is my YouTube short on the defective Gogeta, which is great that my defective products are pushing me over the edge for some things. But at least there's some good that came out of my frustrations. But yeah, so we hit 500 subscribers. That's fantastic. Hopefully we can get even more. It'd be amazing if I could hit 1,000 by the end of the year, but I don't know about that. I want to hit at least 1,000 before I catch up to One Piece. That'd be cool. The exact number of subscribers equaling the amount of chapters I've read in One Piece would be amazing. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, 500 subscribers. Thank you all so much. I know the One Piece a day videos don't get that much traction, but it's something that I want to do, which is why I keep doing it. Hopefully one day this will be a journey that everyone can watch and everyone can enjoy as much as I am. But today, like all the other One Piece update videos, there is a rough structure to how we discuss what's going on, but I thought we'd chuck in a few extra elements just to make each individual video a little more interesting. So I was reading on Twitter just the rough discussion on One Piece, just because there's some big things happening in the anime right now and it's tough not to get spoiled on it. But a lot of people are debating, when does One Piece get good? And I wanted to actually discuss that a bit today in addition to the other topics that we'll be going over. So I'll do the general other topics first and then the main discussion block of today's video. So first up, where I am currently in the manga. So I've just finished Thriller Bark and Brook has joined the crew, which is around chapter 483-ish or something like that, 480 something. And so then there's a little break gap of just sort of wrapping up Thriller Bark and then introducing the next arc. But because there's not enough to go on currently, we'll just be discussing the Thriller Bark and Brook joining part as a proper discussion, because there's a lot of meat on that and it is an entire arc in and of itself. So Thriller Bark. I have said it before in my other One Piece videos that I find it interesting that One Piece has been going for so long and I've absorbed so much of the franchise outside of actually watching or reading it, like seeing figures, trailers, AMVs, all sorts of things, people discussing fights and arcs and who joins the crew and things like that over the years. I'm surprised how much of the series hasn't been spoiled. Like, knowing that Robin officially joins or like permanently joins after Enies Lobby, or Frankie joins during Water 7, or Brook joins during Thriller Bark. Just saying that doesn't mean much to the actual goings on of the arc itself. So it's like Enies Lobby, all the CP9 stuff, all of the Water 7 stuff, all of the Gear 2nd stuff. I knew about Gear 2nd and Lucci, but I didn't really know, if that makes sense. And I'm glad that I got to see so much more of the franchise and none of it was sort of ruined for me. And why am I discussing this now? Because the only thing I knew about Thriller Bark was what Gecko Moria looked like, and that Brook joined. I knew nothing else about this arc. Oh, and I think I saw Nightmare Luffy once in like some other thing, and I thought it was like a mock-up or like a movie character or something. But yeah, so I went in effectively blind, even though it is an important arc because of Brook. And because of a few of the other things that they sort of hint at for like world building. Like I didn't even know Kuma was properly introduced in that arc. It was just, it's so strange. But yeah, so Thriller Bark. Now, one I didn't know was a boat, which is kind of cool. It's like a very interesting, the entire tone of this arc was different. And I want to really get into that because While it still does generally feel like One Piece, I think the structure and progression of this arc, weirdly enough, feels like a more traditional shonen series, like, say, Fairy Tail. The way that the arc was structured felt very, very Fairy Tail. In like, here's the big sort of thing happening in this arc. We've got a big problem going on, and all of us need to work together to solve the arc. A lot of us will be split off into separate groups and battle individual villains and eventually resolve to fight one big bad all together. Now, while that isn't too dissimilar to how One Piece does structure a lot of the arcs, like Enies Lobby had a lot of characters pairing off or going on one-on-one battles to major villains and things like that, I think that the way the arc progressed in Thriller Bark felt very Fairy Tail. It was quite jovial most of the time, which is fine, but it was just sort of like it was playing a joke or making light of the situation a little bit too much in terms of like not feeling quite one piecey. But in particular, the final battle being a big group battle felt very Fairy Tail, because a lot of the shonen that I'm used to is usually one-on-one fights for the finale after everyone else has been beaten, or just a few people fighting one big bad or one character fighting a bunch of others. Usually it's not big group battle against a big monster or big threat. Ooh. And that's what Thriller Bark felt like. It felt very Fairy Tail. And I don't really know any other series to really compare it to other than that. I don't like Fairy Tail, but it felt like it. And yeah, it's just a little bit odd in that regard. Not to say that I didn't enjoy Thriller Bark, but I wouldn't say it was super good, and it definitely wasn't bad. It's tonally just very different. It could have felt like filler, in a sense, but it was still important. But yeah, Thriller Bark was an interesting arc. You got some okay character moments generally, in terms of like character building. Not a huge amount. The most character building we got was from Brook and a little bit of Zoro, and even some Sanji. But it was mainly about Brook because we needed to understand who this character was. And even then, I don't think during Thriller Bark we truly understood what was going on with him. I think it was just the epilogue after that we finally really sort of got an idea of what's going on with Brook. And I think it was handled really well. It had just a strange sort of like almost Scooby-Doo-ish tone and structure and drawing style throughout the whole thing, because it's like you're dealing with somewhat macabre themes but in a very cartoony way, which I found very interesting. The whole zombies being reanimated with shadows thing was interesting. Gecko Mori's ability is just insane. And it was crazy. It was weird seeing like your favorite character's personality superimposed onto another character entirely, which is a bit bizarre, but kind of cool in its own way. It's interesting that they introduced Wano as a concept so early on in the series. You can see just little tidbits of other things that might be important later, but you never truly know. But yeah, that's my rough thoughts on Thriller Bark, because I just think it's tonally quite different. Its actual progression was quite good. We got some really good fights out of it. I thought Brook and Zoro versing the samurai was interesting. I thought Oars was a really odd character because it's just this big hulking giant that's got sort of Luffy's personality of just wanting to explore and play around, and that's more of a detriment to the Thriller Bark than it is to the Straw Hats. And they gave a finite time limit to solve the arc. It's not a super long arc, which was also good because I don't think you could get too much out of it. Actually, there was some interesting world building with Chopper, because he could tell that he looked up to other doctors and things like that, and was sort of disillusioned by Hogback and what he was doing. And then we got things like Usopp actually got his time to shine, and how Usopp sort of dons the Sogeking persona to gain confidence in himself. His fight against Perona was quite interesting, just because it's very playful and odd, and it's a very non-traditional fight. And there were some good reaction shots and funny jokes streamed throughout. Luffy's actual fight with Gecko Mori and Oars was quite cool. The Nightmare Luffy thing was kind of cool, sort of like a temporary Super Saiyan-ish type transformation, but it only lasted like 2 chapters, even though it was like hyped up quite a bit. Don't know about how it is in the anime, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's just an okay arc. Had some interesting moments, tonally quite different, but still fit in quite well. Could have gone in so many different ways, and capped off in such a strange way, because like we just finished a big bad, and then you introduce Kuma, who is leagues above all of them and could have finished it right then and there, but chose not to because of Zoro's sacrifice. And that moment was really cool, but also felt really out of place with the rest of Thriller Bark. It was kind of weird. And I wasn't really expecting that. But yeah, no, it's still a really cool moment. I can see why a lot of people talk about it. It also shows the loyalty that Zoro has to Luffy and the crew. And was a good character moment for him, even though it feels so far removed from the arc that just happened. But yeah, that was cool. So then we got to see Brook's flashback, which was heartbreaking to say the least. I feel like every major One Piece character has got a tragic backstory just like tucked in their back pocket if they need it. And that's what it felt like with Brook. And it was interesting as well, because most of the flashbacks we get are characters as children, because that's where they mostly develop and where the tragedy really strikes. But Brook, we literally got it in the back end of his life. So you got to see who he was as a pirate, not who he was before that, even though they very briefly mentioned who he was before that. But what was important was who he was as a Rumba pirate, or Rumba pirate, I don't really know how it's pronounced. And how he was related to his crew. And it was just really, really heartbreaking and really interesting to see this tight-knit group just sort of get torn apart and suffer so many losses with like the wish to go back and see Laboon. And it's so interesting. And then after it finished, I watched the scene in the anime, and it hits so much harder when Binks Sake has lyrics. Well, it had lyrics in the manga, but when it's got like actual music and proper accompaniments to it, and the final song is just like something else. So yeah, that was an interesting one. And I think that the way Thriller Bark ends makes the entire arc that much better. Not that the rest of the arc was bad. Again, it wasn't bad. It's just tonally quite different. And I think it ends way stronger and saves the whole arc as a result. And feels like one of the stronger arcs that we've had. Still not as good as Alabasta, still not as good as Enies Lobby in Water 7, and not as good as Arlong Park, but it's sort of like shuffled underneath that. And that's the rough update of where I am. Normally we do like favourite arc so far, favourite character and stuff like that. I still really like Alabasta, but I think Enies Lobby and CP9 is probably the best arc so far. It's just really, really fast-paced and well-structured. And I think that's because we did so much character building and world building in Water 7, which allowed CP9 and Enies Lobby fights and everything like that to be way more laser focused. So I think that arc is actually my favourite. I don't know if I still said Alabasta in the previous update video, but I think it's definitely Enies Lobby is now my favourite arc so far. Favourite character, I think it's still Zoro. I think my favourite character is still Zoro at the end of the day. He's just cool, he's simple, but he's a good character. And yeah, there's like, I can't say Brook yet because there's still not much to go on. Like, he's a good character, definitely a good character, but I don't think that he's worthy of that or anything like that. Luffy's still growing, Nami's still growing, Sanji's still a mystery. Chopper got a bit more, but he's just so-so. So I think it's Zoro. Favourite villain, like I said, Gekko Mori's power was very interesting. I didn't think it was super utilised the best way, but then it would have been way, way, way more threatening. Crocodile is still freaking fantastic. I like Lucci, but I don't think there's enough to go on. I think it's still Crocodile. I think Crocodile is still the best villain so far. Things I don't like... And just, it's still what it is before, which is that pacing seems a bit odd at times. It depends on how fast the arc itself is going. The in-between arcs are a bit weird, and generally there is a lot of inconsistency in the franchise, but its highs save it, and its baseline is still quite good. See, the problem with a lot of other series, and the reason why I dropped My Hero Academia a long time ago, was because it had really good highs, but when it hit a low, it was really bad. Or at least personally to me, I thought the lows were really bad. Whereas I think One Piece, the lows are a bit rough, but it's fine because you know it's going to be over pretty soon. If you're reading one chapter a day, sometimes it's not over as soon as you would like, but it is what it is. Favorite fight of, usually I do favorite fight of the series, but I would probably do just favorite fight of the arc. I quite liked Zoro against the samurai. That was an interesting one, because it's effectively him up against a superpowered version of Brook, so you can sort of get an idea of what Brook's fighting style is like. So it's going to be interesting when he actually does have quite a few moments in One Piece. And the Gecko Moria / Oars / everyone else fight was pretty interesting. Felt almost like Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, where everyone works together, doing every single bit to help out. There's little moments where Robin will lock down Moria while the others help to try and weaken Oars. It was cool. I liked it. Go through One Piece news. Usually it's news personal to me. I don't know if it was announced the last time I did an update video, but there's an SH Figuarts figure of Yamato. Yeah, fantastic. As well as the Run 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 minifigures of Yamato and Uta. I'm a little bit annoyed about both the SH Figuarts and the Run 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 figures, because yes, I love Yamato, and the reason why I got into One Piece in the first place. But what's annoying is announcing Yamato as the next SH Figuarts for One Piece means that we might not get all of the Straw Hats in SH Figuarts in One Piece, or we might not get them as fast as I would like, which is a bit of a shame. I really want to see SH Figuarts for Frankie, just because it's going to be insane and expensive, and I want to collect all of the Straw Hats brand new and sealed. I don't want to go for pre-owned all the time. It's a bit annoying. But it is, again, it is what it is. Then for the Run 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 figures, really cute. I think they're based off of an ending theme for One Piece, which is weird because now we have Yamato and Uta. I was hoping we'd get Straw Hats again, but we've just got Luffy, Zoro, Yamato, Uta. I hope we get the Straw Hats soon because I just want to complete a collection. It's so annoying. At this point, I might as well just get WCF figures because it's just getting ridiculous. But other than that, I did get a few more One Piece statues. So first off, we got the 15th anniversary Portrait of Pirates 10th limited version Ace. And yeah, it's just a nice Ace statue. I wanted a Portrait of Pirates one just so you can scale with everything else. It's a simple figure, but it seems really, really nice. We'll probably do an unboxing video on a lot of these later. But yeah, just wanted a nice Ace, and this looks like a nice Ace. Next up, because they're doing the Playback Memories One Piece figures, I don't know if they're going to do a Luffy. I hope they do eventually. But I did want a pre-time skip Luffy scale because I like pre-time skip Luffy and I like a lot of the pre-time skip characters. But unfortunately, a lot of those figures are quite dated because One Piece has been going for 20 years as an anime, and the manga's been going for longer. So you'd have a lot of figures between then and now, and figures have only really shot up in quality within the last, say, 8-ish years. Especially the last 3 years, the quality has shot up quite a bit, as well as the price points. But anyway, I grabbed a pre-time skip Luffy. This is the Portrait of Pirates Luffy JF Special Edition. Usually this mold is done with the Paramount War colors, where it's the white jacket. But I got this one just because I know it's got the blue jacket, which I think is from the next arc or very soon in the manga, but it also had his red and blue. And I really wanted that. And his faces look a bit funny, but one of them, or two of them, look fine. So hopefully this one aged pretty okay. And it looks nice from the box. It's way bigger than I thought it would be. But yeah, I think it'll be nice to have a pre-time skip Luffy. And there's another one. So I liked CP9 stuff so much, and I liked Annie's Lobby so much that I just ran out and grabbed a figure of Caliphar, even though they're probably barely going to appear again in the series. But I really liked her design, and I really liked... I liked Caliphar. There's a thing with glasses and secretary type things. Anyway, I won't get into that. But yeah, this is an interesting figure. They've only done a few figures of her from what I could see, and I like this one in particular. It actually has like fishnet for the stockings and stuff, which is nice because usually that's saved for some higher end figures, and now the Buy Cute Bunny series, which is quite cool. But yeah, I like this one, and I like Caliphar. We'll see if I do any other CP9 stuff, but it's most likely going to just stop at that. And then the last figure, which I'm excited about, because I don't know if they're going to do one in Playback Memories, but I'd rather have this in my back pocket just in case. So this is Zoro pre-time skip, and this is the Portrait of Pirates 10th limited version. Zoro, I hope they don't do a re-release of this, because I paid a bit for it. But yeah, this is pre-time skip Zoro, and even though Zoro's outfit changes quite a bit throughout One Piece so far, this still screams like iconic Zoro to me. And you can't have him wielding all three swords, unfortunately, but you can swap out the bandana or not. So I thought that was cool. It's a nice looking figure, quite like Zoro, as you may or may not have noticed in the previous video or other stuff that I have. But yeah, I like Zoro. He's a cool character, and I like his pre-time skip look as well as his post-time skip look. So I grabbed those. Hopefully they do a Playback Memories later, because I like the quality of Playback Memories and what they've been doing lately. Undecided if I want to get Soge King, but so far I'm getting who I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it for One Piece news. So, the last major discussion topic for the day, I thought, when does One Piece get good? Now, there's like the obvious sort of answer that a lot of people say, oh, it's good right from the beginning, or it's good from, say, Arlong, or it's good from Alabasta. Even if you've stayed with the series for that long, that's a commitment. But I would argue that, yes, technically it is good right from the get-go, because the Romance Dawn initial arc and first chapter with Shanks is quite good. It is a very good way to introduce the series. But I would say that it's not necessarily middling after that. It's just okay after that, while it sort of builds up the crew, builds up characters. Because like when we're doing flashbacks with Zoro early on, they're kind of crap. Because there's not enough sort of going forward. Yes, Zoro had a bit of a tragic past, but it's not like the tragic past that Nami had, which is when the series developed a bit more, or like the tragic past that Sanji had, which is just, it's sad, but it's not, there's just something missing. But yeah, I wouldn't say that it's good from the beginning. I would say elements of it are good from the beginning. Yes, I would say that it got really good at Arlong, but I wouldn't say that that's when the series first got good, and I wouldn't say it is good from then on, because there are parts where it dips afterwards, like a lot of the mini islands in between, like Roguetown, or Logetown, however it's pronounced. It was just okay. Like, there was some interesting things in it, but again, it was a short-lived small arc to lead on to another, same as the Reverse Mountain. It's a small arc on the way to another. Not that it was super good, not that it was super bad. Zoro on Whiskey Peak and stuff like that, it's cool, they're cool moments, but I wouldn't say they're all great. So I wouldn't say that One Piece gets good at Arlong, and I wouldn't say it gets good from the start. I wouldn't say it gets good at Alabasta or anything like that. I'd say One Piece is always good, but it varies. It has its low points, it has its high points. It's never consistently always good. There are levels of it. When it's bad, it's just like average bad. Like I said, My Hero Academia had high peaks and low lows. One Piece has really high peaks, but then when it hits a low, it's just sort of okay. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just okay. And the point of sort of explaining this and going through the discussion of when does One Piece get good is a thing of don't expect it to always be consistently good, and sort of temper your expectations for it. It is a good series. It's just not good every single second. And nor does it need to be good every single second. You can't expect that from this man who's been writing this series for over 20 years. Trends change, writings change. He might have felt bad that week, or he might be spinning the wheel trying to figure out ideas but not quite sure how to proceed. But the thing is that it's not 100% consistent all of the time, and that's okay. And that's pretty much my thoughts on when One Piece gets good. It's always been good, it'll always be good, and it all depends on your mileage and patience for the franchise. You can't say that just because it had one bad chapter in one arc that makes the whole thing moot, or it had a few bad chapters after the initial run or anything like that. Just because something has moments of weakness or bad moments in it doesn't mean that it's not good, and just because it's consistently good and has bad moments sprinkled in between doesn't mean that it's always good either. It just means that as a whole, the franchise is good. Depending on how much you want to take from that, or how much, in my opinion, you want to take from that, that's up to you. But what I think about the discussion topic is that One Piece as a whole is good. Doesn't necessarily mean that it gets good at any single one point. It's just that a lot of people would have noticed at similar points that certain story elements were way better than others, or you noticed that Oda's writing style was just getting better, or you cared more about certain characters than others. So, for example, the Arlong Park, where people say that that's when the franchise gets good. Yes, it was one of the most important parts, and one of the best early examples of the writing improving. But that doesn't mean that from then on everything was good. It's just that that arc in particular at that time was sort of an amalgamation of a lot of ideas, and just everything came together so perfectly. And yeah, it was good for that whole arc. Following that, we had small islands that weren't as good, bigger islands that were way better, and generally Oda's writing style improved. One Piece sort of starts good, has moments of weakness, gets better over time. It's one of those things where you can't run out of the gate perfect every single time. We're taking this journey along together. We're taking this journey along with Oda as he improves as an author, as an illustrator. And you can see that in the progress of the story, in the progress of the characters. So it's one of those things where, yes, One Piece has good moments throughout, will only get better from here, or you hope it'll only get better from here. But that doesn't mean that it is always good at every single time. I hope that made sense, because I went on a bit of a rant and it is completely off the cuff. Pretty much all of these discussions are completely off the cuff. I don't really go in with any sort of plan, which is why I needed to write like a rough structure for some of my other videos, because I just talk into the ether. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the topic. One Piece is just good. I don't think that there's too much room for discussion on it. It's just that you need to understand that some people might think it got good at different points. Some people might think it didn't get good at all. And it's fair if that's what their opinion, and it's fair if they dropped it because of that. But my whole thing was that I would stick with it to see where we went, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. Because it is a journey worth taking, and it truly is a journey. And journeys have highs and lows. And yeah, it's just a big investment, but one that I do not regret taking. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you all next time for the next One Piece a Day update. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. I don't know, I'll probably do one at chapter 600 or thereabouts, depending on what arc we're at. I like doing it in arc chunks now, because there is a good amount to talk about and discuss, and it is nice seeing Oda's writing and art style improve every single time. And it's interesting, I think, to see how I think about the franchise as a whole as it progresses. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.